perfume and whispers. Even in the quiet moments before opening, Luminous Boutique vibrated with exclusivity. Emma Chen stood outside her own creation, dressed in worn jeans and a simple cardigan, her success hidden behind an ordinary facade. The luxury she'd built from nothing was about to teach her something she never expected about the world she thought she understood. Before we dive into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from. The morning light filtered through the pristine windows of Luminous Boutique, casting diamond patterns across the marble floor. Emma Chen pulled her simple cardigan tighter as she peered through the glass. The store wouldn't open for another 15 minutes, but she could see her staff inside, preparing for the day with practiced precision. 5 years ago, she'd opened this flagship location with trembling hands and a mountain of debt. Now, Luminous had 8 locations across 3 countries. The fashion world called her a visionary. Industry magazines featured her in power suits and designer dresses. Today, she wore faded jeans and comfortable flats. Her long black hair was twisted into a messy bun, and not a trace of makeup covered her face. "Annual store visit?" asked Wei, her driver, holding the car door open. Emma nodded. "Best way to see how things really operate. They never recognize you like this." Wei chuckled. "I'll be back at 2. Emma watched the sleek company car pull away. These incognito visits were her secret weapon, the reason Luminous maintained its reputation for exceptional service. Most high-end boutiques catered exclusively to those who looked the part. Emma had built her empire on a different philosophy. At precisely 10 a.m., a sales associate unlocked the door. The young woman, new since Emma's last visit, offered a cursory smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Welcome to Luminous," she said, her gaze already sliding past Emma to the street, clearly hoping for a more promising customer. Emma nodded politely and stepped inside, breathing in the familiar scent of leather and the subtle house fragrance she'd helped develop. The space felt like an extension of herself. Minimalist displays highlighting extraordinary craftsmanship. Lighting designed to make every detail visible. "Let me know if you need anything," the associate said with practiced indifference before retreating to straighten an already perfect display. Emma smiled to herself. The real evaluation had begun. 3 other employees milled about the store, each casting brief glances in Emma's direction. None approached. She wandered toward the new collection, her fingers brushing against supple leather handbags that had taken artisans weeks to create. "Excuse me," Emma said to a tall woman whose nameplate read Veronica. "Could you tell me about this design?" Veronica turned, her polished smile freezing slightly as she assessed Emma's appearance. "That particular item is $4,800, Veronica said, her tone cooling noticeably. "Perhaps I could show you something more accessible. We do have some entry-level items near the back." Emma felt a familiar sting, the same one she'd experienced years ago when shopping for her first luxury item. She'd saved for months, only to be dismissed by salespeople exactly like Veronica. "I'm actually quite interested in this specific design," Emma replied evenly. "Could you tell me more about the craftsmanship?" Veronica's perfectly sculpted eyebrows arched slightly. "I don't think that would be necessary. These pieces are investments, and our clients typically understand their value already." As if on cue, the door chimed and a woman in head-to-toe designer clothing entered. Veronica's face transformed, lighting up with genuine enthusiasm. "I should really attend to customers who are serious about purchasing," she said with a thin smile. Feel free to browse. Emma watched as Veronica glided toward the new arrival, voice pitched with warmth that had been entirely absent moments before. Mrs. Kessler, how wonderful to see you again. Did that Delvaux piece work out for your daughter's graduation? For 20 minutes, Emma circulated through the store. The pattern repeated itself. Employees would notice her, assess her casual appearance, and find reasons to avoid engaging. One young man actually retreated to the stockroom when she approached. This wasn't the luminous experience she had built. This wasn't what she stood for. Emma spotted the store manager, Marcus, at the register, reviewing inventory on a tablet. She recognized him from quarterly meetings, though they'd never spoken directly. He wouldn't know her face. Executive photos showed Emma in full makeup and designer clothing, her hair professionally styled. Taking a deep breath, she approached the counter. "Excuse me," Emma said, her voice quiet but firm. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" Marcus glanced up, his expression professionally neutral, but with the same undercurrent of assessment she'd encountered all morning. "Of course," he said, setting his tablet aside. "How can I help you? I've been in the store for over half an hour, and I'm concerned about the level of service I've received." Marcus straightened, defaulting to practice damage control. "I apologize if there was any misunderstanding. Our associates are trained to judge customers by their appearance," Emma finished, maintaining her composure. "I was particularly interested in the new Artemis collection, but Veronica suggested I might prefer something more accessible." Marcus's expression tightened. "I assure you that's not our policy. Perhaps there was a miscommunication." Emma watched Veronica across the store, now effusively describing the exact bag Emma had inquired about to Mrs. Kessler. No one had offered Emma so much as a glass of water. "A second incident occurred when I approached the display of artisan wallets," Emma continued. "Your associate, Thomas, I believe, actually walked away when I showed interest." Marcus's professional veneer began to crack. Maybe he was finally seeing something familiar in her face, because his eyes narrowed slightly. "May I ask your name?" he inquired, tone more cautious. Emma reached into her plain handbag and retrieved her business card, minimalist black with embossed silver lettering. She slid it across the counter without a word. Marcus's eyes widened as recognition dawned. His complexion paled visibly. "Ms. Chen, I had no idea you were visiting today," he stammered, straightening his posture further. "That's rather the point, isn't it?" Emma replied calmly. By now, several staff members had noticed the interaction. Veronica approached the counter, curiosity evident on her face. "Is everything all right, Marcus?" she asked, glancing between them. Marcus, still visibly shaken, cleared his throat. "Veronica, this is Emma Chen." For a moment, the name didn't register. Then Veronica's eyes widened with horror as understanding crashed over her. The founder and CEO of Luminous, the woman whose philosophy statement hung in the break room, stood before her in simple clothes, having experienced firsthand the treatment reserved for those deemed unworthy. The expensive handbag Veronica held, the very one she'd refused to discuss with Emma, now seemed to burn in her grip. "Miss Chen, I didn't realize." Veronica's voice trailed off, her face flushing deeply. Emma smoothed her cardigan and looked around at the gathering staff. The former silence of the store had transformed into a palpable tension. "The cornerstone of our brand philosophy," Emma addressed them, her voice measured and clear, "is that luxury should be accessible to anyone who values quality and craftsmanship. It's never about how a person looks when they walk through our doors." Thomas emerged from the stockroom, confusion turning to mortification as a coworker whispered in his ear. Emma continued, maintaining her professional tone despite the hurt beneath it. I created Luminous because I was once that person, dressed simply, saving for months, and treated poorly when I finally entered a luxury store. Mrs. Kessler, still holding the Artemis bag, watched with undisguised interest from nearby. When I started this company, Emma said, I made a promise that no one would ever feel unwelcome in our spaces. Today, that promise was broken, repeatedly. Marcus's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. Miss Chen, I take full responsibility for. This isn't about assigning blame, Emma interrupted gently. It's about understanding where we've gone wrong. Veronica's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide her distress. Her fingers trembled slightly around the handbag's leather strap. Miss Chen, she ventured, her voice uncharacteristically small. I am so deeply sorry for how I treated you. I made assumptions that were completely unwarranted. Emma regarded her with calm eyes. The apology shouldn't be to me, Veronica. It should be to every customer you've judged by their appearance rather than their interest in beautiful craftsmanship. The statement hung in the air. Several associates exchanged guilty glances. I'd like to see the store's customer interaction logs for the past month, Emma said to Marcus. And I think we need to revisit our training protocols. My office will contact you tomorrow to schedule a comprehensive review. Marcus nodded vigorously. Of course. Absolutely. Emma turned toward the door, then paused and glanced back at the still stunned staff. The true measure of luxury isn't exclusivity. It's excellence, in products and in how we treat people. Every person who walks through that door deserves our respect. Without another word, Emma walked out of her own store, leaving a profound silence behind her. Outside, the busy street continued its normal rhythm, oblivious to the scene that had just unfolded. Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself against the unexpected wave of emotion. The familiar sting of dismissal had hit harder than she'd anticipated. She found a quiet cafe across the street and ordered a cup of tea, needing a moment to process. As she waited, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. Marcus Reynolds flashed on the screen. Emma let it go to voicemail. The tea arrived, steam curling upward. Emma wrapped her hands around the warm cup and stared out the window at Luminous. Through the glass, she could see her staff in what appeared to be an emergency meeting. Marcus gesticulated frantically while Veronica stared at the floor. Emma's phone buzzed again. Not a call this time, but an email from Marcus. Miss Chen, I cannot adequately express my mortification. The values you've instilled in Luminous seem to have been forgotten by those tasked with upholding them. I take full responsibility and am implementing immediate corrective measures. I completely understand if you wish to consider changes in leadership. Emma sighed. She didn't want anyone fired. She wanted them to understand. Her thoughts were interrupted when someone slid into the chair across from her. It was Mrs. Kessler, the well-dressed customer from the store. I hope you don't mind, the woman said, setting her Luminous shopping bag on the floor. I saw you come in here. Emma straightened. Not at all. That was quite something back there, Mrs. Kessler said, a knowing smile playing on her lips. I've been shopping at luxury boutiques for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like it. I apologize if it disrupted your shopping experience, Emma replied professionally. Mrs. Kessler waved dismissively. Please, it was refreshing. Do you know how many times I've been judged by sales associates when I'm not dressed for the occasion? She leaned forward. Once, after gardening, I walked into Cartier in sweatpants. You should have seen their faces. Despite herself, Emma laughed. What happened? I bought a bracelet worth more than their monthly quota just to watch them squirm. Mrs. Kessler's eyes sparkled. People like Veronica never learn unless they're taught a lesson. Emma stirred her tea, considering Mrs. Kessler's words. I didn't do it to teach a lesson. I did it because that's not what Luminous stands for. Intentions aside, they certainly got one, Mrs. Kessler replied. Though I admit, I'm curious why the CEO shops incognito in her own stores. Annual evaluations, Emma explained. I visit each location dressed like this. You see how people really treat customers when they don't recognize you. She glanced toward the boutique. Today was particularly enlightening. Well, your philosophy is precisely why I shop at Luminous. Mrs. Kessler stood, gathering her bag, and why I'll continue to. Good luck with your staff. After Mrs. Kessler left, Emma's phone buzzed again. This time the call came from Diane, her chief operating officer. I just got a panicked call from Marcus Reynolds, Diane said when Emma answered. Something about you visiting the flagship location? He sounds terrified. It didn't go well, Emma admitted. The core values speech we give at orientation, they're not living it, Diane. I'll handle it, Diane assured her. You shouldn't have to deal with this. Emma watched through the window as Veronica approached a casually dressed woman who had just entered the store. From this distance, Emma couldn't hear the interaction, but she noticed Veronica's body language, attentive, respectful. No, Emma said. I need to handle this personally. Can you clear my schedule for tomorrow morning? I want to lead an emergency training session. For the whole company? Just the flagship staff. Sometimes people need to be reminded why we do what we do. After ending the call, Emma lingered in the cafe, observing the store. The incident had shaken her more than she cared to admit. When she'd started Luminous, her mission had been so clear: create a luxury experience that welcomed everyone. Had success diluted that vision? The following morning, Emma arrived at Luminous before opening. This time, she wore what her staff would expect: a tailored suit, her hair styled perfectly, light makeup enhancing her features. Marcus met her at the door, his complexion still pale. Miss Chen, I cannot express how... Emma held up her hand. Let's save the apologies, Marcus. I'm more interested in fixing the problem. The staff assembled in the back room, tension evident on every face. Emma stood before them, no longer invisible in jeans and a cardigan, but fully inhabiting her role as founder and CEO. Yesterday was difficult for all of us, she began, but it revealed something important. Somewhere along the way, we've strayed from our foundation. Emma pulled out her phone and showed them a photo. A much younger version of herself standing outside a high-end boutique in Paris. 10 years ago, I saved for months to buy my first luxury handbag. When I finally entered the store, dressed much like I was yesterday, the staff treated me exactly as some of you treated me. She paced slowly before them, her heels clicking against the floor. I left that store in tears without buying anything, but I also left with a promise to myself that if I ever created my own luxury brand, everyone would be treated with dignity, regardless of appearance. Veronica's eyes remained fixed on the floor. Thomas fidgeted with his cufflinks. Luxury isn't about exclusion, Emma continued. True luxury is about extraordinary craftsmanship that improves with time. It's about objects made with such care that they become heirlooms. And most importantly, it's about the experience of being valued as someone who appreciates that craftsmanship. She paused, letting her words sink in. Today, we're going to rebuild that foundation together. For the next 3 hours, Emma led them through exercises designed to challenge their assumptions. They role-played difficult scenarios. They shared stories of times they'd been judged unfairly. Emma revealed the company's early struggles, how she'd pitched to investors in borrowed clothes, how many banks had refused her loans. By the time they finished, something had shifted. Emma could see it in their posture, hear it in their questions. "I never connected our mission statement to actual customer interactions," Veronica admitted. "I thought luxury retail was supposed to be exclusive." Emma nodded. "That's the old model. We're building something different." When the doors opened that day, Emma stayed to observe. The transformation wasn't perfect, but it was beginning. Veronica approached every customer with the same respectful attention. Thomas emerged from behind the counter to help an elderly man examining wallets. 6 months later, Emma returned unannounced, once again in jeans and a simple sweater. This time, Thomas spotted her first. "Miss Chen," he called warmly, "we weren't expecting you today." "Welcome to Luminous," a customer service specialist said, approaching Emma with a genuine smile. "Is there anything specific you're looking for today?" Emma shook her head, enjoying the transformation. "Just browsing, thank you. I'm Olivia. Please let me know if you have any questions. We just received our limited edition collection yesterday." Throughout the store, Emma observed staff members engaging with customers of all types. A teenager saving for her first luxury purchase. An elderly gentleman examining watches. A woman in workout clothes considering silk scarves. In the corner, Veronica was carefully explaining leather grades to a young couple. She glanced up, noticed Emma, and gave a small, acknowledging nod before returning her full attention to her customers. Marcus appeared from the back office, carrying display materials. When he spotted Emma, his face brightened. "Miss Chen," he said, approaching with confidence rather than fear. "Have you seen the community initiative we launched?" He guided her to a discreet display near the register, featuring photographs of local artisans and craftspeople. "We've started hosting monthly workshops," he explained. "Anyone can attend and learn about traditional craftsmanship techniques. It's been incredibly popular." Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders. This was the Luminous she had envisioned, not just selling luxury, but democratizing an appreciation for craftsmanship and quality. "That's a brilliant idea, Marcus," Emma said, examining the photographs with genuine interest. "It perfectly aligns with our values." Later that afternoon, Emma sat in her office reviewing the quarterly reports. Luminous's flagship store had seen a 22% increase in customer retention since the training 6 months ago. The community workshops were generating significant positive media coverage. Her phone buzzed with a text from Veronica. "A young woman just made her first luxury purchase today, saved for 8 months. Reminded me of your story. Thought you'd want to know." Emma smiled, setting down her phone to look out over the city skyline. The incident had transformed not just her staff's approach, but her own leadership. She now scheduled regular days to work alongside her retail teams, no longer relying solely on incognito visits. Next week, she would speak at a retail industry conference about creating inclusive luxury spaces. Her talk was already overbooked. On her desk sat a small, framed quote, words she'd written the night after her confrontation at the flagship store. "True luxury isn't defined by who it excludes, but by the excellence it delivers to everyone it serves." Emma had built Luminous from a dream into reality. But the lesson she'd learned that day in her own store had transformed both the company and herself. Success wasn't measured in profit margins or expansion plans, but in the dignity with which they treated every person who walked through their doors. The luxury industry was changing, slowly but surely, and Emma Chen was leading that change. One customer, one interaction, one moment of respect at a time. In the end, the most valuable thing she'd created wasn't a brand, but a new way of thinking about worth, both in objects and in people.